Welcome and thank you for attending this joint stakeholder meeting via webinar. The date is August 29th, 2022, and the time is 3:01 p.m. Before we get started, we would like to introduce the staff members from the Division of Professions and Occupations that are present. My name is Darcy Magnuson, and I am a regulatory analyst for the division. Also attending is Dimitri Kunin, Senior Program Director, Roberta Hills, Program Director, and Elena Kemp, Regulatory Coordinator. I'm looking to see if we also have Justin Whip, who is a Program Analyst for the PDMP. I'm checking to see if we've had any other staff members join us. And it looks like that's it. We might also have Karen Phelan, who is a Program Director as well. Due to concerns regarding COVID-19, the division has transitioned to a platform that is 100% virtual, and we appreciate your flexibility. As many of you have been to DORA stakeholder meetings before, we would like to reiterate the importance of your comments today. DORA makes decisions every day that may affect your life and your business, so your input is vital in the rulemaking process. Throughout this process, our goal is to create regulations that clarify and explain legislation, ensure minimum competency to enter and continue to practice, and provide only what is absolutely necessary for consumer protection without creating unnecessary barriers to the marketplace. Your input will be part of the information that goes to each board as the boards consider adopting revisions to the rules to implement Colorado House Bill 22-1115 concerning the prescription drug monitoring program. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on each board's webpage by the close of business tomorrow. As this stakeholder meeting is held solely by webinar, please raise your hand using the hand icon if you would like to speak, and we will unmute your line so you will be heard by everyone. Or you can type your comment in the question section and we will read it aloud. Before we start taking comments, we ask that anyone providing comments please state your name and the name of the organization that you represent, if any. Feel free to provide general comments on the new legislation or specific comments on the proposed language that should be considered for adoption. Keep your comments limited to 3 to 5 minutes or less, and try not to repeat something that was already said. You're welcome to state if you agree with someone else, and we will make sure that we note that. If you are using the audio through your computer, please remember to put any phones on vibrate or turn them off. And whether you are using computer or phone audio, try to keep background noises to a minimum when speaking. So at this point in time, you are seeing the draft language that's being proposed on the screen. So this particular legislation impacts all of the prescribing boards. It's changes to legislation that was previously adopted. So the rules already exist. This legislation just requires changes to those rules. Because the legislation impacts the prescribing boards, the goal is that the rules will be consistent across all of the prescribing boards. So once you've seen one rule, you've seen all of them. So at this point in time, if you would like to provide any feedback regarding the proposed changes, you can do that by raising your hand and we will unmute your line, or you can type into the Q&A function of the webinar and we can read your comments for the recording and for other stakeholders. Can you share a link to the proposed rules? That was from Dylan Mitchell. They are all posted on the board's website. We will pop a link into the chat. With that, everything is posted on the public notice under the public notices tab for each board or program on the website. But we will go ahead and drop a link into the chat for everyone. Just be 1 second. And I'm not seeing them on the website. So I'll have Elena drop the actual document into the chat so that you can access that. And we'll make sure to get that link updated on the website where the notice is, so that you can get the rules there too. And we'll also post any stakeholder comments that we receive on the website under the public notices tab. Same place that this recording will get posted to. And Justin, I saw your chat. You're welcome to speak. You can just unmute.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we've had some discussion, internally and discussed with the AG's office on the particular portion here, where it's part B, where it states that prior to prescribing a benzodiazepine, a licensee must comply with the requirements of section 12-280-4044. So there is an exemption essentially for the conditions that are listed there in C, where the PDMP query requirement is also not applicable for those scenarios. So I think the recommendation from the AG's office was that we put in language something like prior to prescribing a benzodiazepine for a condition that is not exempt under section 12-280-4044 CRS. A licensee must comply with the requirements of section 12-280-4044 CRS. So just want to make sure that we have in the rules somewhere a note regarding the PDMP query requirement on those exemptions.
Thanks, Justin. Any comments based on what Justin said? So adding into under subsection A, prior to prescribing the second fill of benzodiazepine, unless exempt under subsection C, a licensee must comply with the requirements of 12-280-4044. And we'll make sure that that note is in there when we post the updated rules. And Elena, are you able to drop the document into the chat or so that everyone can have the draft rules, or do you need me to do something on that?
1 second, I can. I'll just pause my screen sharing.
Okay, so you should have access to the draft rules that are being shown. Sorry, it's noisy out my window. And then we'll also drop into the chat the language that Justin was mentioning, so you can see that as well. I'm not seeing any raised hands, and we haven't received any written comments in the Q&A other than the one that I already read about getting the draft rules. Just as a reminder, you can always submit written comments to Dora_DPO_rulemaking at state.co.us, and we will post those comments online and then share those comments with the board prior to the rulemaking hearings for each of these boards. We'll drop that email address into the chat as well. And it's included on all of our notices for meetings, in case you don't get it in the chat or don't remember to write it down. You can find it there. And we'll go ahead and wait for a few more minutes just to make sure we don't miss out on getting feedback from people who are here. So we'll pause for a few minutes until 3:15. And at that point in time, if we don't have anyone who would like to provide feedback, we'll go ahead and wrap up and talk about next steps, including the proposed dates for the rulemaking hearings for each board. Okay, I show it's 3:15 and we don't have any raised hands and we haven't received any written comments in the Q&A section, so we will go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for participating in today's meeting. The stakeholder comments and program recommendations will be presented to each board before the permanent rulemaking hearings. The dates of the hearings will be emailed to licensees and stakeholders and posted on each board's website and calendar. And I'll also go through them now so that you have them. The veterinary board will consider the rules for permanent adoption on October 13th, 2022. The nursing board will consider the rules for permanent adoption on October 19th, 2022. The dental board will consider the rules on November 3rd, 2022. The medical board on November 17th. The optometry board on November 17th. and the podiatry board on December 2nd. And all of the information, including the webinar, that will be posted on the board's calendar and also on the board's website. That does conclude the stakeholder meeting, and we thank you again for your participation, and we are going to end the webinar now.